What is happening, everybody? MG here. MG Covers, bringing you a brand new video, a little bit different. I don't have my light. I'm recording this at night, so I apologize. It is darker than normal. But we're going to talk about college football using one statistical angle to drastically improve your handicapping for college football. Before we do that, don't forget to like this video if it provides you some value. Subscribe to the channel. A lot of content. If you're watching this for the very first time, one of my videos, and you want to learn about the sports betting business, this is the place to be. I have a ton of content here with a lot of powerful information, insightful information if you want to learn how to become a better sports handicapper. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. We're going to talk about college football. Very unusual season. However, this is an angle that I discovered when I was applying my new stat model that I had for college football. A little bit of context of what's going on. I have an NFL model that's very successful, and I don't know really why I never applied it to college football. This was the very first year I took a couple pieces from my NFL model, applied it to college football, made a few tweaks, and I back tested it like crazy. I back tested it for the entire 2019 season and spot checked it and spot tested it from some different weeks. Maybe I went back to like 2015 and would just randomly test a week. And what I found was I found this particular angle, which I thought was very interesting. And when those of you that are creating models, when you back test, you will learn a lot. Just the education process. And what I mean by back testing is you take, let's say, you got a model that you want to test for college football. You would calculate the stats up to say it was week 4. You would calculate the stats up to week 3, use those stats and apply those stats for the games for week 4, and so on and so on. So it's a tedious process, and it's very difficult to find those stats to where you can accumulate them to the point to where you need to handicap for the following week. And some of it you sort of have to do manually, but it's definitely a learning process, an educational process. But what I learned was when teams, it is very difficult for college football teams to cover a 17 nut. What I mean by that, it's very difficult for a team that is favored 17 points or higher. It is very difficult for them to cover. And more times than not, they do not cover. And you say, why is that significant? Why is it that way? Think about 17. That's 2 touchdowns and a field goal. So that team has to beat the other team by 3 possessions. Okay, in a lot of cases, they're going to have to beat them by 4 possessions, because 3 possessions, 2 touchdowns and a field goal would just tie it. So to actually cover that 17, they would have to beat them by, well, it depends. I mean, if it's they'd have to beat them by 3 possessions. So let's look at this past week. So we're going to count anything plus 17 or higher as a play that we're going to make, and we'll see how this shakes out. So the very first game there, you can see that SMU and Temple, 17. Well, let me see if I can get this cursor going here. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Yeah, okay, there we go. All right, so SMU right here, plus, say if we played Temple at plus 17, that would have been a loss, so we notate that. Next game, Liberty, Virginia Tech. We actually played Liberty. Our stat model had Liberty, so that was a winner there. Georgia State and Louisiana Monroe, you can see here it was 19 at some books. We'll take the 18.5, and that was actually a cover by a half point in favor of Louisiana Monroe. Our next one, South Florida, Memphis, same deal there. South Florida covered that. Right here, 44.5. Marshall had to cover a 44.5 nut. Again, very difficult to do. Massachusetts won that. Next one, Appalachian State, Texas State. Same deal here. Texas State covers by a half point. Northern Alabama, Southern Miss. Southern Miss was minus 17. North Alabama covered. 27.5, Maryland, Penn State. And Maryland won that one outright, so that was a cover. Kansas, Oklahoma. Oklahoma covered the 38.5 nut. Vanderbilt, Mississippi. Vanderbilt covered the 18. Scroll down to Ohio State, Rutgers. Again, same deal. 38 points. That is a lot of points to cover. Rutgers covered that one. And finally, South Alabama, Coastal. This was a push. And that's it. If you add all that up, add all those games up, watch this, guys, 9-2. That means if you would have played every team this past weekend that was plus 17 or higher, you would have went 9-2. That's impressive. And it's a very good angle. So if you're watching this video, even if you're not a client, that's definitely something that you could apply to your handicapping that would drastically improve your handicapping. So let's look at, hang on a second. Let's change the date here. I'm going to have to move myself out of the way here. Let's back up to October 31st. Slide me over. Okay. We'll do the same here. We had 7 games total. Michigan was minus 21.5. Michigan State won that outright. Boston College, Clemson. Boston College covered that one easily. Iowa State and Kansas. Iowa State did cover that one. Georgia, Kentucky. Kentucky covered that one, so that would be a win for us. Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech covered that one at 20.5, plus 20.5. Appalachian State, Louisiana Monroe. Let's see. Yep, Louisiana Monroe covered that one. Mississippi State and Alabama. Alabama covered the 28.5. I didn't count this on the 16.5, but Texas State did cover that one. It was close. The 31.5, Western Kentucky covered that against BYU, and that's it. Now, if you add those up, that was 5-2. So just taking one simple stat, or one what I call a statistical property. And what I mean by statistical property, it's almost a fact that teams do not cover. It is rare for a team to cover a minus 17 or higher in college football. Now, obviously, there will probably be weeks where it is not a winning, maybe it goes 3-6. That's just the way stats work. But overall, long term, you will find that if you play plus 17 or higher, more times than not, that will cover. So it's definitely an angle that you can use that would help you. So again, something I just discovered literally in the last couple months, and it's something that you could probably use as just a standalone model, just using that particular angle. All right. So before we get out of here, I want to go over my NFL power rankings. Just a little bit of I guess bragging in a way. NFL power rankings, actually, the way I built my college football model, as I mentioned earlier, I use my NFL stat model, which has had a lot of success over the years. A couple plays I want to point out to you that we had a lot of success with. Miami, you can see here, we had Miami at -2. They were actually +6, and we played Miami on the money line. That was a win at +220. You can see here New Orleans, Tampa. Basically even, maybe New Orleans -1. They were +3.5, so we played New Orleans on the money line. We won that one as well at +155. So if you become a client, you have access to my college football model, my NFL stat model. You get access to all of my coaching videos for $29.95 per month. You can join. There's a link in the description box to do that. If you want to get all of my coaching videos, my stat model, in addition to that, get all my plays for all sports, you can get that for $49.95 per month, or you can join for an entire year, get everything that I just mentioned for $249. That includes everything I just mentioned, entire year, $249. So anyway, hopefully that helps. And don't forget, if you're wagering college football, stay away from teams that are -17 or higher. because it is very rare for them to cover that. And maybe you can add this into your handicapping. If you find a game where you're sort of on the fence about playing, you can use that situational angle to your advantage. You can say, I'm not sure if I'm going to play it. And then you look, hey, that team's plus 17. Or if it goes from, say, a plus 14 all the way up to plus 17, that would indicate that it would be a play. So hopefully that helps, and we will talk to you guys soon. Peace.